Sol Lama 0, Gol 5629.
Mais uma semana, sejam muito bem-vindos aqui ao Farol de Pouso. É um prazer enorme ter vocês conosco para mais um episódio muito especial, onde nós trouxemos um convidado internacional. Eu vou fazer a abertura em português para vocês entenderem o que vai acontecer aqui hoje. Mas antes, eu tenho que mandar o nosso agradecimento, nosso reconhecimento para os nossos parceiros e apoiadores aqui do canal, começando pela Hangar 33, a sua marca de moda masculina do universo da aviação, a realizar a escola de voo lá no município de Torres, para você tirar suas carteiras e, quem sabe, um dia estar voando na empresa do Mark, da Ryanair. Para voar lá, você vai precisar ter o quê? CRM, e nada melhor do que a FCT para te ajudar nesse treinamento, para você entender mais sobre o CRM, aplicar na sua operação de aviação geral ou executiva, ou até mesmo para você que trabalha em equipe, como por exemplo no escritório ou numa equipe de resgate. Entre em contato com eles no fct.human no Instagram. E não menos importante, em última aqui antes da gente começar o nosso bate-papo, o FP Aviation, que é o nosso projeto que vai te ajudar a treinar o seu inglês, para você voando, tirar o seu certificado ICAO, voar internacionalmente. Para você que está pensando em entrar numa companhia aérea aqui no Brasil, como as companhias que estão com seleção aberta atualmente, nós te ajudamos no preparatório para você fazer a sua entrevista técnica. Para você que está pensando em expatriar, voar mundo afora, entre em contato com a gente aqui no FP Aviation. E agora eu vou mudar para inglês. So, Mark, welcome to Farol de Pouso. That's going to be a really, really interesting conversation that we're going to have today with you. So, Mark, who
Hi,
are
guys.
you? Who are you? Why did we call you here on our podcast?
Okay, guys. Look. Thank you very much to yourselves that are hosting this podcast, and to everybody that's listening. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking to you today from a very, very windy Dublin. We've had lots of bad weather conditions here in Dublin. On Sunday we had lots. I think we had 30 diverted flights from Dublin. But look, absolute pleasure to be here. So my name's Mark Duffy. I am the Director of Talent at Ryanair. So I'm based at the head office in Dublin, but my remit here at Ryanair really is everything to do with recruitment within the organization. So my teams are responsible for hiring absolutely everybody into the airline. So over the last 12 months, we've hired lots and lots of new people. We've hired just over 10,000 new Ryanair employees. So a big chunk of that was pilots. So we've hired close to 2,500 new pilots over the last 12 months. And look, the reason I'm obviously speaking to you guys today is to really, spread the word about, Brazil, talk about, our past history of hiring really good Brazilian pilots, and send the message as well to the Brazilian pilot community that we want to hire a lot more Brazilian pilots as well in the future. So look, I'm here to answer all your questions, tell you everything about Ryanair, anything you want to know, any rumors, about Ryanair, the good things, the bad things. And yeah, look, I'm just delighted to be on this podcast, guys.
Well, Mark, this is Conrado. Thank you one more time to accept this invitation. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yes.
I was telling you during the warm-up that you have one of the most interesting LinkedIn web pages, and I always follow you through. I always like your posts, and you made quite a big noise in Brazil recently with one of your latest posts, right? Regarding focusing on Brazilian pilots, like you said, right? So yeah. we could start from there, right? Initially, so what is exactly what are you looking for? What kind of profile, what kind of pilots you're looking for at this moment, and then from then we can talk about a little bit more about Ryanair and how Ryanair works, and just open the windows for these pilots who might be interested to join Ryanair.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll probably take a step back, maybe 35 years. So I've been here for 8 years. Yeah. But I'll go back 35 years. Ryanair has a real strong history and connection of hiring Brazilian pilots. So this literally goes back to the mid-90s. We've always hired Brazilian pilots. So initially we would have hired pilots that would have flown for the likes of Varig back in probably the mid-90s, I'm guessing, if I'm getting my dates correct there. So they would have started off in London Stansted, because that was our real big base outside of our home base, Dublin, that we were trying to grow. And then, as the Brazilian pilots joined, they told their friends about Ryanair. And I think at the moment, off the top of my head, we have close to 300 Brazilian pilots across the Ryanair network. So if I look at our pilot population of 7,000, nearly 4% of those pilots would be Brazilian. So the fact that we have, historically hired Brazilians, says a lot about, Brazilian aviation and your culture over there, that it really fits in with the Ryanair culture. And it's really a market that we've always gone after. And that's testament to your training that you have in Brazil. It's a fantastic training background that you have, and we've never ever had any issues with any of the Brazilian pilots that we've hired. So if I look at why we've been down in Brazil recently, so my team were down in Brazil back in the summer. We did a couple of road shows, I think, in Rio and Sao Paulo. I was there myself twice. I think 4 years ago, I was in Rio and Sao Paulo when we kind of kickstarted this new process off. And then only last week, I had a member of my team who's based in London Stansted, one of my recruiters. He's been in he's been over in Rio at the Flex Aviation Center for the last week, assessing, Brazilian pilots. And we also had an information day as well on Friday. We're not doing this in other South American countries. We've hired some Argentinian pilots as well, but our focus is on Brazil, because like I said, great pilots, great training records, never any issues. They fit with us culturally. So in terms of my hiring strategy now for the next 2 to 3 years, last year we hired 1,300 new cadets. Okay, so that they're our future captains. One of the reasons that cadets join us is because we have a very, very fast route to command. So it takes about 4 years from when a first officer joins us to becoming a captain. But we also have opportunities for command upgrades as well, and then direct entry pilots. So at the moment, I could hire, if I wanted to, up to about 300 direct entry captains. Now, if all of them came from Brazil, fantastic. But I think realistically over the next 12 months, we're probably going to hire, I'd probably say close to 100 Brazilian captains coming into the organization. But like I said, I could hire up to 300 if the interest was there and people pass the assessment. So in terms of what we're looking for at the moment, the positions that we have available are for both Boeing 737 rated and non-type rated captains. Okay, but we also have opportunities as well for Boeing 737 rated first officers. Most of those new hires that we will be making from overseas will be going into London Stansted, which is where a lot of our Brazilian pilots would have gone to originally, and then some over to Dublin as well, just simply because a lot of our growth at the moment would be in the UK. So we're taking delivery this year of our final 50 A200 aircraft. So obviously for every new aircraft that we have coming in, we need up to 12 new pilots. You've got a little bit of attrition as well. So, people that might move on to maybe, the Middle East carriers and then come back to Europe, back to Ryanair. So it's for growth and it's for attrition. So most of those opportunities that we have at the moment are either in the UK, but we also have some limited opportunities as well in Dublin as well. So you got a question there? Sorry, you.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, since we jumped in the hottest topic that we have for the agenda today, thank you very much for being with us today. This is Guilherme
Thank
here.
you very much.
And good evening to everyone. Just to say hello. And all of our pilots in Brazil, for our listeners, we communicate with a lot of with a wide range of pilots, since the very experienced DEC, which we're expecting to join you very soon, and people very inexperienced or working towards their careers, right? At this moment, you told me that you're looking for first officers rated, not rated, cadets and DECs. Of course, there are different requirements for all of them.
Yeah.
We can explore a little bit on those requirements for.
Yep, of course. Yeah.
I would just narrow down for DEC, first officers, and cadets.
Yep. Okay.
And I'll just connect to that question, the requirements, especially in terms of licenses and citizenship. If you can explore on that, I would love. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Okay, so let me have a look at this. So for direct entry captains, okay, we are looking for 1,500 hours, okay, PIC. And then for first officers, these 1,000 hours. Sorry, I'm actually just going through the latest presentation that we had here.
Sorry, I didn't want to put you in a corner, but we are looking.
Oh, no, hang on.
100 hours on the type, PIC on the type.
Okay, and it's okay. Okay, so guys, I've just got my my pilot recruitment manager, Angelo. Okay, who is in the room. So he's responsible for all of the hiring, and he's the expert on the hiring process. Did you know Angelo? Yeah, you're smiling there. Huh?
Bring him in.
Bring him in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm impressed. Actually. That's why I'm smiling. Hello, Angelo. Nice to meet
How are
you.
you guys? Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Okay, so Angelo is the expert on the hours requirements, okay, for Brazilian pilots, but he's also the expert as well in terms of the licensing, because we have quite a unique situation with Brazilian pilots in the sense that we're quite flexible in terms of licenses versus other nationalities. So, Angelo, in terms of the hours requirements for, would you run the guys through them?
Yeah, so basically in a nutshell, let's say, for instance, you hold a Brazilian license. A few years ago, we made an agreement with the Brazilian CAA, whereby we're able to hire both rated and non-rated pilots. Okay, so that is good news for our Brazilian friends, because in other countries, we're only able to hire people who meet the rated requirements. So due to these agreements, we can now hire both TTRs and OCCs, and the hours requirement is 1,500 PIC hours for captains. So if you hold a Brazilian license, you need to have 1,500 PIC hours in order to be able to fly on a validation with the Irish Aviation Authority. Okay, so that is the minimum you need to have, 1,500 PIC hours on a jet over 30 tons. Okay. If you're a first officer, again, you need 1,500 hours on a CS-25 aircraft. That is the minimum that the Irish Aviation Authorities will accept. And if you hold an EASA license, it's only 800 hours PIC for a captain and 500 hours on a CS-25 aircraft for a first officer. So what happens is once you join Ryanair, you come in with your Brazilian license. You need to obtain, before you start, an EASA medical. That is mandatory before you start one of our courses. And then you can fly on a validation, on an Irish validation, for a period of at least 12 months while you complete the ATPL exams here in Europe. So the authorities will give you 12 months to complete the 14 ATPL subjects, and that sometimes is extendable to another 12 months. So the maximum period is actually 24 months. That's it, basically, in a nutshell. Do you have any questions on the requirements?
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing for the Brazilian listeners, that whenever Angelo said CS-25, like for the IRA requirements, here in Brazil, we call that the RBAC 25, which is related, I believe, correct if I'm wrong, is related to the certification process of transport category aircraft, right, Angelo?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's
in European terminology, let's say.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm the yeah. So, but as you explained, that's exactly it. So, the CS-25 is an aircraft that can be an ATR 42. It can be an Embraer 135, 145. Those are the CS-25 aircraft. And when it comes to captains, then it will have to be a jet over 30 tons, because turboprop PIC hours are not counted towards the minimum requirements.
And just to give you guys an example then of Brazilian pilots that we've hired over the last couple of years in terms of the airlines that they come from and the aircraft.
So, that's actually a good question, because, for example, most of the rated pilots that we hire did come from Gol, because they have a big fleet of Boeing 737. When it comes to non-rated, we've hired a good few captains from LATAM or Azul. So they would come from the A320. Again, they had a Brazilian license, and we were able to hire them because they had more than 1,500 PIC hours. Okay.
One last question regarding requirements, which I might have missed, in terms of citizenship and right to work. Because we do have a lot of Brazilians with Italian or European citizenship, and a lot of Brazilians that are not allowed or entitled for that. So how does that part work, please?
Yeah. So at the moment, for example, the Brazilian passport holders who joined us in the UK, we obtained UK visas for them through the UK immigration. So we provide that to anyone who wants to go to the UK. And we can provide visas to both captains and first officers because their salaries meet the minimum threshold in order for us to obtain those visas. We're also able to offer a limited number of visas in Ireland for captains because the captain's salary do meet the threshold in Ireland and the first officer one doesn't. So then if you do have a European passport, you have more flexibility to perhaps be based in one of our European bases. However, most of the positions we usually offer to our overseas pilots are in the UK and limited number in Ireland for captains.
And Angelo's team, they look after the whole process
from A to Z.
Yeah, from A to Z in terms of the visas. So, you know, like I said, we've hired up to 300 Brazilian pilots now, and they all would have, or most of them would have gone through that process in terms of getting the visa. So what happens is, somebody from Angelo's team will do the assessment, whether that's in Brazil or London Stansted. When somebody has passed the assessment, we will then ask them to do an English language assessment, which is called a IELTS test, which is through the UK Council. That they can do that in Brazil. There's different centres.
Yeah. In Sao Paulo, there is a centre where you can complete one. Yeah.
So they go and do that. We send the instructions as to which test they have to do. Then they pass the assessment. So once they've passed the English language assessment, they tell us, they send us the certificate, and then we will then add them onto a course, and we will then apply for the visa. So the visa is valid initially for 3 years.
And then obviously it's renewable. And after 5 years, you can actually obtain the full UK citizenship, or if you're in Ireland, the European citizenship. So the Irish one is 2 years, renewable again every 2 years.
Yeah.
And after 5 years, you can apply for permanent citizenship.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and we will pay for that initial visa, and the renewal, we pay for that visa.
Yeah, those are very important questions, especially to remove this fantasy that some pilots have. That, oh no, because I don't have the citizenship, I cannot work there. No, you can't.
No.
Yeah.
Not.
You have to meet the English level requirements, guys.
Yeah. So you do the IELTS. That can usually be done at any location. There are many locations, the British Council. We send you a link. You can just choose the location of choice, and then you just do the English test, which is really basic, to be honest. Like I think a level 4 is
ICAO level 4, yeah.
ICAO level 4 is sufficient for it. And once you do the English test, we apply for your certificate of sponsorship. And then once you obtain that, we do your visa application We can usually turn this around in about 3 weeks, more or less, once you have done your English tests.
Great. That's great. That's a great opportunity for all the listeners, our audience now, just focus on the English,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Angelo wasn't here during the warm up, but we do offer our podcast, our group offers some mentoring for pilots doing assessments overseas and helping with the English level and stuff. So it's just a quick advertisement here.
Yeah, it's very important, Conrado.
It is really important. So we are expats here. We always whenever we have an opportunity, we always talk to the audience in Brazil that as you guys already mentioned, and we know the level of pilots in terms of skills is really high. Right, in generally in Brazil, so very, very good pilots. I'm a trainer. I do training quite, every single day, and obviously we know that the level of skills is outstanding compared to to the average. But the English level is something that probably that's the biggest struggle for Brazilian pilots, I would say. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
It's I got some feedback from the guys who conducted the assessments down in Rio, and the feedback was, yes, the skills were good. However, sometimes they were struggling with the English language, especially when they were a bit under pressure. Therefore, their skills might have deteriorated because of that, And that's because I suppose they're not always exposed to the English language. It's like me, you go to school, they teach you English at school, and then you come to Dublin and you don't have a clue what people are saying to you because you're not used to, listening to the accents, the slang, but definitely if they did practice a bit more English before aviation English before they attended the assessment, it would definitely be a bonus for them in order to be successful then.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing you've said is just being able to communicate under pressure. That's what people need. You don't need to tell a whole story about your life and stuff. That comes with time. The fluency comes with time, So
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and we just need to be able to communicate when we're under stress, because then we lose a lot of capacity to clarify our thoughts, and so that's the only focus that I think people should have at this moment. I'd like to take the opportunity that Angelo is still there with us. And ask you guys about cadet program. Is there any opening spots eventually for Brazilians unexperienced pilots? How does it work for cadets? If you can just give us a brief introduction about the program, please.
So for the cadets, the biggest constraints for us would be the licensing. So as I mentioned before, in order to fly on a validation with an ICAO license, you need to have a certain minimum of hours. So you need to have, the 1,500 hours PIC for captains on a jet, and then the 1,500 hours for a first officer on a CS-25 aircraft, which we explained earlier, the equivalent in Brazil. So the cadets obviously wouldn't have that, so they wouldn't be able to qualify to fly on an Irish validation. So what they would need to do is they would need to convert their ICAO license to an EASA license, which means that they would probably have to do the whole theoretical exams again. They would need to do their instrument rating again, and so on. And then the other problem would be the cadet salary wouldn't meet the thresholds for us to obtain a visa. So they would need to have a European passport.
Yeah.
So for the cadet program, we have more restrictions when it comes to ICAO license holders and non-EU passport holders.
Yeah. But if somebody can convert to an EASA license,
and they have a European passport,
then, like I said, we're going to hire 1,200 cadets again this year. So there's lots of jobs.
I think I would say. Some part of our audience for sure has a European passport. Many people, they do have in Brazil. So it's something that people could think about it, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
Start their aviation path with Ryanair. It's amazing, right? So, there will be lots of jobs available, lots of seats available. So
Sure.
yeah, if there is someone listening to us right now and you are inexperienced, you have a European passport, you get in contact with Mark, and you may try to go through the cadet program, which is amazing. And I can tell you by experience that working with cadets a lot, there is nothing better than starting with a company who has a dedicated program for cadets for training. So you get proper training and you go through a lot of stuff and you really learn how to fly in a 737, which is amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, Conrado, in terms of our cadet program, the reason why the reason why Angelo has no difficulty filling 1,200 positions every year is because we have the fastest track to command upgrade. Like I said, I think at the beginning, within 4 years, you could join us as a cadet when you're 19 years old or 18, and you can become a captain at 22. No other airline is going to give you that route to command. So it's not about how old you are, how long you've been with us. It's about how many Ryanair hours you have. So as long as you achieve 3,000 Ryanair hours and you do a winter season and a summer season, if you join us as a direct entry first officer, for example,
good
simulator grades, 3,000 hours is that threshold. And because of our growth, we need to promote at least 400 first officers this year, 400. So this year, 400 Ryanair first officers are going to be captains. And we could probably do 500 if we wanted to.
Yeah.
That's the level of the promotions.
And by the way, Mark, just talking about upgrades, right? So for first officers joining Ryanair, let's say Brazilian first officer that are stuck in the right seat for quite a while and they're aiming to, change, their path and join Ryanair eventually. So how long would it take for these new joiners, first officers, new joiners to get a chance to upgrade?
Okay, so realistically, the threshold is 3,000 hours, okay? However, if somebody joined us with more than 3,000 hours as an experienced first officer, they would have to do at least 12 months, okay, in the right-hand seat. So they do a winter season and a summer season. And then afterwards, Angelo, probably another 6 months. It's probably 18 months.
I'd say 18 months realistically, yeah, from when you join. Obviously, the hours that you have achieved in your previous airline are counted towards your commands. But then there's a requirement to do at least 800 to 1,000 Ryanair hours before you can be recommended for the command. And obviously, again, you need to achieve good grades during the simulator checks, every 6 months, and winter season, summer season, and then you can be put through the command upgrade program.
Yeah, because I'm quite sure in Brazil we have first officer with over 7, 8, 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
On the right seat, on the 737, so they're quite experienced. So, and this is something that I always recommend. We always recommend here that people should, taking into consideration, your way to command. It's something that if you're getting old, if you're getting older, and if you're getting experienced, then you should think about it. Make a path where in a place where you could really have a chance to have your command upgrade done as soon as possible. Guilherme went to say something.
Yeah. If I may say something, my batch in Gol when I joined first time took 11 years to be upgraded.
Wow.
And my batch in Latam that joined in 2008 still aren't.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
So if you're looking for an upgrade, consider. And I strongly advise you to consider Ryanair as the, if not only path, but one of the greatest paths for that.
Yeah. Sometimes I believe we have to get out of our comfort zone to achieve a goal. For example, I know that moving overseas might be daunting for some, but then if we look at the career prospects, that we offer, it is definitely something to highly consider.
For sure. And look, we don't hire first officers, right? And I know that's a silly statement. We hire captains, future captains. That's what we're hiring for. We do not want career FOs. If we have a career FO, then forget about it. We want people that want to be captains. That's what we hire.
Hora do cafezinho do Farol de Pouso, um oferecimento. AV House, arquitetura aeronáutica, projetos de aeródromos, hangares e condomínios aeronáuticos, feito por pilotos e para pilotos. Nex Atlas, o aplicativo definitivo de planejamento de voo e navegação aérea do piloto brasileiro. FCT, Human Development, cursos de CRM e gerenciamento de equipes de alta performance. Porque desenvolvimento humano faz toda a diferença, e disso nós entendemos. FCT, Because Human Performance Matters. E Trem de Pouso, a primeira escola online especializada na formação de pilotos. Ajude o Farol de Pouso a continuar produzindo conteúdo aeronáutico de qualidade através do nosso Apoia-se. É só acessar apoia.se/Farol de Pouso e escolher com quanto quer contribuir. É fácil e sem complicação. Acesse também Linktree/Farol de Pouso e confira todos os conteúdos EAD já produzidos pela nossa equipe. Você ajuda a gente e ainda alavanca sua carreira. Procurando melhorar seu inglês, se preparar para sua primeira seleção de companhia aérea, buscando sua elevação para comando ou pensando em expatriar? Então conte com a FP Aviation. Acesse FP Aviation no Instagram ou no LinkedIn e fique pronto para o mercado de trabalho. Agora, de volta ao nosso episódio.
That's great. A sensitive topic, I believe, salary, money-wise.
Yep, we are
Can you
very happy to
say
share
something? Can you say we've heard rumors recently that there was a pay raise, significant pay raise in Ryanair. People were in the Middle East here. They were quite happy actually, because some people maybe it's time to go back. And what can you say about the money?
Yeah, okay. I can tell you that our pilots are very, very well paid, and we have to pay our pilots well because otherwise we would not be competitive within the market and we would lose them to competitors. And obviously, we are the largest airline in Europe, the third largest airline in the world. We need pilots, so we need to pay them well. So in terms of the UK, I can give you, the exact breakdown in terms of what they're earning because I have it in front of me here. So if you are a captain going to the UK, your total annual salary is going to be £152,000. Okay, as a captain. So at Ryanair,
Mark, let me just chime in. For those of you who are listening this in Brazil and are not familiar with the conversion rates, that's almost 7,000 reais yearly.
700,000 actually.
So that's quite generous salary.
Okay,
That's in year one.
Yeah, that's in year one. So
It goes up in year two.
Yeah, so it goes up in year two. So if I break that down, there's different elements to it. Okay, so there's a basic salary, there's an allowance, you get paid obviously block hour as well. There's a pension, there's an allowance for London. So yeah, it's a very good salary, £152,000 in the UK.
How about taxes?
Yeah, in terms of taxes, in the UK, they're about 35% to 40% tax. It depends how much you earn. So £152,000 is probably about maybe 8,000 net, £8,000 net. Yeah.
And what's the average salary in the UK?
Oh no, the average salary in the UK is probably £90,000 pounds. For other sectors, not aviation. So it's a very, very well paid job.
Yeah, it's definitely way more than people are getting paid in Brazil for sure.
Yeah, and then obviously for a first officer, it's literally 50%. Cut it in half, so it's £85,000.
And obviously the salary it's different for different bases, I believe, right? So the contracts. So can you go through these differences on contracts that people may find in Ryanair for different bases, please?
Yeah. Okay. So if they're a Brazilian pilot, it's more than likely that they will be going to the UK, and it's more than likely that they'll be going to Stansted. So the only difference, though, between the Stansted salaries and the regional UK salaries is the London allowance.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is only a difference of £3,000. So if you're going to Birmingham, for example, and you're a Brazilian pilot, you're going to earn close to £150,000. So there's no difference on the base salary. It's a UK base salary that we have. The only difference is if you're based in Stansted, you get an allowance because it's London, or Luton, I think.
Yeah, as well, it's included. Yeah, Luton and Stansted.
Yeah, Luton and Stansted. Now, in Dublin, do you know the Dublin salaries off the top of your head?
Yeah, in Dublin, you're basically looking at we're close to 150,000 euros per annum. Again, extremely competitive. First officer is 80,000 euros per annum. The minimum wage in Ireland is 26,000 euros per annum. So just to put it into perspective, it is a very competitive salary. And then across Europe, it's quite close to the average in Ireland. So we're talking about captain in year one, it's around 150,000 euros per annum.
And all right, so another tough question, I guess. Is there any list of benefits that you can just mention to us? Additional benefits?
Yeah, so in terms of benefits then, so obviously it's an airline, you get access to staff travel from day one. So we have two different versions of staff travel. The first one is you get 6 confirmed tickets a year. So you can travel anywhere on the Ryanair network, confirmed, you get a 20-kilo bag. So it doesn't cost you anything. And then outside of those 6 confirmed tickets, you get access to standby travel. So
unlimited.
Yeah, which is unlimited. You just pay the taxes. So if I wanted to travel tonight to Madrid, it's probably going to cost me maybe 40 euros return on standby travel. So that's staff travel. We also give an allowance, which covers loss of license insurance, uniforms, medicals, car parking. There's a pension as well. So there is a contributory pension. So Ryanair will match up to £8,000 or euros as part of the pension process. Yeah, so I think
that's incorporated in the salary. Yeah.
And Mark, let me ask you another question. For those who have actually none of who is listening here listen to my voice. So John here for after 2 years without appearing this show. How does the contract work? There's any chance of commuting for us who think about going to Brazil once in a while?
No, I'm going to be honest. If you're coming over to Europe on a visa, there's strict restrictions around hours and how long you have to be in the UK. So unfortunately, we don't offer commuting rosters. You will be hired on a direct Ryanair contract. So you are employed by Ryanair from day one on the visa. So you are restricted to the visa. Now, you do get, it's about 40 days annual leave. And you can obviously use that leave to return home to Brazil, which a lot of our pilots would do. Ryanair is very, very unique with its roster. So we have, and you may have heard of this, we have a 5-4 roster. So it's 5 days on, 4 days off, 5 days on, 4 days off. It's as simple as that. So the way that it works is that you do 5 days of earlies. You might do a 2-sector day or a 4-sector day. It's very, very rare that you do a 6-sector day. You then have 4 days off, and then you have 5 days of afternoon flights or late flights. So if, for example, you want to go back to Brazil, you add your annual leave onto your block of 4 days off. So if you have 5 days on and then 4 days off and then take 3 days leave, you're having like 8 days off for 3 days because of your roster. So that's how a lot of our pilots would commute, and not commute, but how they could go home a lot more often because of that roster. And it's your Ryanair roster for life. It's as simple as that. Ask anybody that you know that might work at Ryanair. It's a fixed roster. It is the best in the business. It genuinely is.
Yeah, and there is no night flying.
No.
You know what you're going to be doing in the next 12 months. If somebody invites you to a wedding in December, you know exactly when you're going to be off. That never changes. It's 5 on, 4 off. And if you take 5 days of annual leave, you're basically off for a block of 13 days.
That's it, yeah.
Which will probably allow you to go to Brazil for a few days. It is a very good roster, and it's one of the best in the industry because it's always fixed and there is no overnight plans. You always go back to your base. If you're based in Stansted, you start your day in Stansted and you finish your day in Stansted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because a lot of people here in Brazil, they don't like the overnights. Like, they don't like to sleep in some hotels outside of their home. So I was going to ask whether that was true or a myth, whether like you are going to have dinner every single day at your home.
You always go back home to your family. You start the day, so that's why when you're based in one place, you're basically starting your day there and you finish your day there. And that's where the aircraft starts the day and finishes the day as well. It's very rare that you're sent out of base. It can happen, but there is no planned overnights and you always go back to your own bed.
And most of our flights, they are on the ground by midnight. So maybe some of the flights in the summer might be 1 a.m., but most of the flights literally on the ground. We do not fly Christmas Day, so the 25th. The whole operation is grounded, and we are one of the only airlines that does that.
Yeah, and I saw some news that there is also a priest that comes to blast the aircraft on Christmas Day, right? Yeah.
No, I'm sure, certainly in Dublin for sure, yeah.
Guys, so the annual leave, so you can break down the annual leave, right, into different
blocks. You can take some blocks and some ad hoc days as well. Yeah.
Okay, and how about bidding? Yeah, I mean, with this roster, of course, but is there any sort of bidding, directing your flights, at least, destinations and stuff?
Bidding, no. I think the roster is published 4 weeks in advance. So you would know where you're going to be over the next 4 weeks. It gets published by the rostering department, and then obviously you can do swaps with other guys. For example, if you want to swap your earlies for lates, it's quite flexible in that sense. Yeah. But there is no bidding system as such.
No.
Okay, but it's flexible, so you can swap flights and.
Yeah, you can swap. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Good. Well, I think we have covered most of this stuff that we had planned, I guess, guys. I know Mark is running out of time, and we don't want to pay extra fees for you. For your overstay with us. I would just like to open the mic to you guys, and if you have some words, just say whatever you feel like to our Brazilian audience, and whatever. I know pilots, we have lots of pilots that are still thinking about going abroad, and there are many opportunities nowadays, right? Which is good for us, right? It's absolutely great. So many pilots applied also for the American visa, so there's another option that it's new. And and most of the times when you have too many options, it gets blurry, so you don't know what to think about it, right? So what can you say to convince these people to join your team and be with you in this amazing office? The audience cannot see, but we can see the smile in the office in Mark's face. So it seems to be a very nice place to work.
We got Angelo's on the yacht. That's what he's on there. But no, look. What I will say is, and I said it at the beginning, right? Ryanair has a proud history of hiring fantastic Brazilian pilots who have gone on to do absolutely fantastic jobs. One of our senior TRIs, you probably know, Felipe de Pave. He did a fantastic job in the training department, and he was actually instrumental. getting the Brazilians on board, working with the licensing authorities, making sure that we hire the non-type rated pilots from Brazil as well. And I don't know whether Felipe listens to this podcast, hopefully he does. And, I just like to say, thanks to him for all of his efforts over the years. We've got Roger Amaral in the organization who joined us many, many years ago from Varig. And, I could repeat this, many, many Brazilian names that we have. So we will support you in the process. My team and the guys that work with Angelo, they're a good recruitment team. They're honest, they're fair. We will assess you on your ability to, your potential ability to join Ryanair. We will support you along the way. We will give you lots and lots and lots of career opportunities. So if you're a first officer, like I said, command upgrade, you can become a captain very, very quickly. You can become an SFI. If you're a captain, we have lots of opportunities in the training department. We are growing to 800 aircraft in the next 10 years. And, that's not, make believe. It's happening. The aircraft order is there. So by 2034, we're going to have 800 aircraft. We will be the biggest airline in the world by then, I'm guessing, in terms of fleet size and passenger numbers. That brings lots of opportunities then to work in the training department. We need to train all these cadets. So if you're a Brazilian captain at the moment and you're not necessarily a line training captain and it's something that you want to do, but you can't do it in your current company, come and join Ryanair, join a line training captain course, and you could be training, hundreds of the cadets that come through. For your families, the UK, Ireland, Europe, it's a great place to bring up families. If you want them to come into the European education system, the Irish education system, we have great schools, universities over here. It's a safe environment as well to bring up families. And look, like you said, Ryanair is a family-oriented airline as well. I've been here for 8 years. Angelo's been here for nearly 20 years. And a lot of people have been here for a long time. And that says a lot about a company. So if you are nervous about moving abroad, have a chat with my team. Come along to an assessment day, come along to one of the online information sessions that we have, and we won't turn people away if they've got silly questions as well. That's what we want. We want people to ask silly questions, difficult questions, because it's a big move, but it's achievable. And like I said, we'd love to get you all on board. Angelo, have you got anything to add to that? Or
no, I think you covered it all. The career opportunities. I was in Brazil this year. I was doing some road shows with Karine. She came from Goal. She joined as a captain, and she's now become a type rating examiner. So again, at Stansted, we have one of our biggest training centers. So if anybody's interested in joining the training department, that's the place to be.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure lots of you know Brazilian Ryanair pilots that have joined us. And Angelo just name-checked Bruno and Karine, who were a married couple from, I think they were from Goal, maybe?
Yeah, Goal, yeah.
Yeah, they joined us about 4 or 5 years ago. They're now in London Stansted.
She's not here.
Karine is a TRE. She's very, very well thought of as well. So for us at Ryanair, it's not about where you come from. We don't care where you come from, whether it's Timbuktu, Brazil, Argentina. It's all about you as a person. Whereas with other airlines, some other airlines can be a bit snobby about where you come from. That's not us. That's not Ryanair. It's about you as the person.
And we go by merit.
And we go by merit, yeah. And it's not about how long you've been here either.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, guys.
Did that make sense? Yeah. Is there anything else that we didn't cover? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I would like to thank you for all this information, and I can just as a testimonial of how passionate both of you guys talk about not only our job, but your job on hiring people. And it's incredible the amount of passion and the vibe that we felt on this night. Thank you so much, guys. Ready for base.
No. Look, guys, thank you very much for inviting us onto this. We are much appreciative of it. It's great to talk to you. It's great to talk to your people. And look, in the future, hopefully we're going to get a lot more Brazilian pilots coming through. And look, for those of you that are experienced pilots on here, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a fantastic job. And for aspiring pilots that don't necessarily have the hours yet, keep doing what you're doing as well. And eventually, your dreams will come true and you'll get there.
Yeah. Mark, Angelo, thank you very much for coming today with us here. We all know that your time is limited and we don't have the budget to pay for the extra fee on that. Okay, guys. But anyways, I just would like to thank our sponsors and partners here of the channel. Hangar 33, a Realizar, o AFCT Human Development e AFP Aviation. And thank you, everyone, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Guys, thanks, yeah.
Ciao.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Linha Column 0 Gol 5625.